Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 2nd, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. If you look off to our east, you can kind of see the system that moved through yesterday. You guys might have actually seen that got a few snow pellets there with the leading edge of some of that precipitation coming across the area. Got a little bit of upper elevation snowfall. Still some wintry conditions here for portions of eastern Washington, Idaho Panhandle, some eastern Oregon, and western Montana. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at what is coming as we go through this upcoming week. We got some king tides out there. Will we have any waves that will coincide with them? We'll dive into those details and look at the extended forecast as we always do as we go through the video here this morning. So taking a look here, I'm going to pause this and we're going to scroll back through yesterday and kind of see that system that moved through and that line of showers. Its bark was worse than its bite. You can see the red showing up the Doppler radars there, but that's because how the Doppler radar reflects off some of that wintry precipitation above us here, so it wasn't quite that heavy. But again, I was out there yesterday fixing my anemometer on my roof, and I got that snow pellet shower out there. You guys might have seen some of that. And then we scroll on into the overnight hours. You can see some showers continuing, mainly Seattle northbound across western Washington, and then you can kind of see the wintry precipitation ongoing as we speak across portions of eastern Oregon, Idaho, Panhandle, and western Montana this morning. Also, still a few showers here across some of the Puget Sound. Also, now this is Spokane National Weather Service slick conditions Tuesday morning. You can see the winter weather advisories and some of the special weather statements. If I click on that, you can see that moderate snow, light to moderate snow out there for some slick conditions. And again, the winter weather advisories and the slick commute this morning. Sneaker waves up and down the coastline. Just consider that there for the next few days. And then you can see winter travel late Monday through Tuesday. Idaho Panhandle, western Montana, again with the winter weather advisories. You can see some of the totals out there also. So if you guys want a great Christmas gift here, this Tempest Weather Station is the way to go. A simple mounting. You can purchase the pole. It comes separately. You have to purchase that separately, but you can detach this right there and you can just go ahead and mount that on a fence post and whatnot as well. No moving parts, all solar powered. You have it up running in just a few minutes. Great smartphone app as well. Click on the link down below to save 10%. So taking a look here at the North American view of things here, there's Alaska to the upper left. There's our Pacific Northwest right here. In this batch of cold air is what brought us our system yesterday. It's still ongoing for some portions, but you'll notice we still are under the influence of this ridge here out over the Pacific Ocean. You can kind of see it churning. Anticyclonic flow means clockwise flow out there, and then we put that into motion. We go on in through Thursday. Now here we are going on into Thursday afternoon, and then you can kind of see that ridge start to collapse. It doesn't go away, it just kind of sinks south here out over the Pacific Ocean, and then we get brushed by this system here as we go on in towards this upcoming weekend. And then the Gulf of Alaska trough wants to get going, and some interesting stuff showing up in the extended range that we're going to look at here more in a moment. So if we take a look at what's going on this morning, you can see this precipitation as we go through the day today. It's going to be moving across eastern Oregon, Idaho as we go through this evening, western Montana, and then it clears through. And then another system kind of brushing us again out of the northwest as we go through the day on Thursday. You can see maybe a couple inches of snowfall there for the Cascades, eastern Oregon, again, Idaho kind of targeted with that. And then we get a bit of a more substantial system here as we go through Friday and Saturday. You see the precipitation continuing all the way on in through Sunday. Some mountain snows possible here. Nothing too extremely heavy for Oregon. The further you go north across Washington and some of British Columbia, pick up on some of those snowfall amounts. We'll be watching that here over the next few days. More to come after that as well. Now, if we look at accumulated positive snow depth change in inches, so let's scroll through the day today. And again, you can kind of see that wrapping up as we go through the day today. But as we go on into Thursday, another one comes, and you can see maybe another couple inches there for the Cascades. And again, nothing too heavy there as we go through Thursday, but could bring some wintry conditions with it. And then as we go through the end of the week, you can see some of the snowfall amounts kind of piling up there a bit across some of the North Cascades. Not as much for Snoqualmie Pass, which tells you the snow levels are going to be generally probably right at or above the pass level. But again, we'll watch that as we go through and we get closer to that next event. Now, looking at significant wave height, and again, like I mentioned, we have some king tides out there, but look at this. We have, kind of that lack of wave activity. So we are not coinciding those big waves with any big tides out there. So kind of good news there for people living along the coast that you have to deal with some of that flooding. But as we get on in towards next week, we start to get the bigger wave action start to roll back towards the coastline. You can see that Thursday night as we go through, the following week there. And on in through Friday, definitely some bigger waves approaching the coastline shown there. Now let's take a look at the artificial intelligence. So you can see the ridge here, and it's generally just a bit too close to us, allow for the really truly colder air to get back down into the region. You can kind of see this trophy and this tropospheric polar vortex right over the Hudson Bay, kind of bringing some of that colder air down across portions east of the Rockies, eastern portions of the USA. So let's scroll through here and watch that ridge in action right near the Pacific Northwest. And then we start to get clipped here as we go through the weekend, and we start to bring some of these additional systems, start to point back in towards the Pacific Northwest. There goes the Gulf of Alaska trophy. Look at that southwest flow there, storm activity moving back into the region. That's why the waves are going to get bigger as well. And then as we scroll a bit further off into the forecast, the European artificial intelligence has been showing this ridge kind of building a bit further off to the west, which allow for some cooler air to try to get back down into Western Canada and maybe the Pacific Northwest. No promises just yet. Yeah, I mean, if I toggle back and forth, you can see we're looking up over 200 hours out in the forecast, but you can see some interesting stuff there with the ridge driving this north flow back down off of southeast Alaska and then carving out this trough into the Pacific Northwest. So definitely something fun to watch here, and we will indeed be watching it over the next few days. Now, taking a look at what that would mean for 850 millibars, or about 5,000 feet temperatures, you can see some of that Arctic air bottled well to our north. Some of that spills back out over the Gulf of Alaska, and then we scroll off into the future. You can kind of see that Arctic air getting brought back down into Western Canada, some of Alberta here as well, and spilling out over the coast of the west coast of the USA. And you can kind of see the ridging out here across portions of Western Alaska would be driving that colder air back down into the region. But again, there's something to watch right now that definitely can change at that time frame. Now, in the extended forecast, you can see these systems in the meantime here, and there's been kind of a sinister looking atmospheric river showing up here at times as well. Actually, a couple of them. You can kind of see the first one rolling through as we go through maybe next weekend a little bit there, and then you can kind of see this next one. Look at that bouncing across the Pacific Northwest. Those can mean flooding issues. We'll watch that one as well. Again, it's far enough off in the forecast so you don't want to get caught up in the details too much just yet. Then you can continue to see us being active as we scroll through the mid portion of December, and quite active as well. And you can kind of see this Arctic air, this the isobars here, the Arctic air, and this big pressure gradient as that cold air tries to sag into portions of British Columbia. Cold upper level low with this as we go through the mid portion of December. If that were to verify, that would bring some fun stuff and some big mountain snows at least. Now, total precipitation in inches. Let's take a look here. Watch last night's artificial intelligence run here. So as we scroll on towards December 10th, we get December 11th, 12th. I mean, just huge amounts of precipitation in the first half of the month of December incoming here. So yeah, we're definitely going to have the storm train pointed back into the Pacific Northwest. It looks like most of the ensembles are in agreement with that. But my goodness, look at this. By the time we go towards December 15th, almost 7 inches for Seattle, huge amounts for Portland, the Cascades, Vancouver Island, Western BC as well. So yeah, should be an interesting first half of December incoming here. And if we look at the GFS just for the heck of it here as well, let's scroll through there and see what it shows as far as the Arctic air. You can see it kind of agrees with the artificial intelligence that's showing, and then it finally starts to get some of this colder air on the move as it goes through the extended forecast, but keeps most of that off to the east. But anyway, I just like to look at the GFS there. Don't like to pay too much attention to it until it starts to kind of agree with the artificial intelligence or the European model. Then you can get a bit more confidence in the models. So looking at the artificial intelligence, look at Seattle, definitely going to pick things back up. And then we look towards the next week here as we go through Monday night into next Tuesday, a pretty rainy period set up there. And again, with additional systems in the meantime and thereafter. Looking at the artificial intelligence ensemble members. So at the left here is precipitation in inches, and this goes out about towards December 16th. So the green line is the ensemble mean. There's 50 of these members, and you can see between, I believe it is the 90th percentile and the 10th percentile is in the blue bar of those ensemble members. And then you can see the control run. Those are the initial conditions best we understand them. And you can just see just some huge amounts of precipitation forecast coming up here. But even the ensemble mean is extremely wet for Seattle, and of which, of course, means much of the Pacific Northwest and much more for some of the higher terrain. Now, extended forecast look here. If you've been watching these videos daily, you know we're looking well off into portions of January to kind of see if we have that La Nina signature still staying with us. But again, let's back up here. You can kind of see how this ridge is too close, keeps that cold air well off to the east of us. So we scroll on in through the upcoming month of December. You can kind of see the Gulf of Alaska trough, that some of that southwest flow pointed back into the Pacific Northwest. And then we scroll up into the extended forecast. There we go through the second half of December. Not much showing up there, but then something happens right near Christmas time as we start to back this ridge up. That starts to allow for that cooler air and that to get back down into Western Canada. And you can see that is the La Nina signature. Is you got this ridge kind of building near the Aleutian Islands, and you get that northwest north flow back into the Pacific Northwest there as we go on into some portions of the month of January. So yeah, it continues to show that. We'll continue to watch it, and we will check back to see if that actually comes into fruition. And again, this is 850 millibar temperature. You can definitely see the cooler than normal forecast here as we go on into portions of January with the ridging out here south of the Aleutian Islands. So definitely a La Nina look to the extended forecast. We'll continue to watch that day by day to see if that's going to change. Check out the Patreon page. I'm going to catch a flight to Florida here and go do my son's soccer stuff. I'll be bringing my laptop on the road and be doing my daily updates from there. So hopefully this forecast finds you well, and I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow at some point.